What is going on, everybody? Pretender here, back with another Honkai style guide, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the upcoming 3.0 first half character, the Herta. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you over Kin Eidolons, then taking you over the Lightcone recommendations, followed by that will be Relic sets and Planar Ornament recommendations, and then finally the Relic Mainstats and Substat recommendations. And yep, that's all I want to say. Before I get into the video, if you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of style content. If you know anyone that needs a Herta guide, make sure to send them this video as it may help them. Check the description to join the Discord and also check out my second channel, and let's get straight into the video. So the Herta is an ice character following the path of erudition. Her basic attack deals ice damage equal to 100% of the Herta's attack to one designated enemy target. Her skill deals ice damage equal to 70% of the Herta's attack to one designated enemy and inflicts one stack of interpretation. Deals ice damage equal to 70% of the Herta's attack to targets hit by this instance of skill and their respective adjacent targets. This effect can repeat 2 times. Her ultimate rearranges the number of interpretation stacks on all enemies, prioritizing the transfer of a higher number of interpretation stacks to elite level targets and above. Then deals ice damage equal to 200% of the Herta's attack to all enemies. When using ultimate, increases the Herta's attack by 80%, lasting for 3 turns. After using ultimate, the Herta immediately takes action and gains 1 stack of inspiration. Inspiration can stack up to 4 times, and while having inspiration, enhances skill to hear me out. As it says, it gives her access to an enhanced skill, and what that enhanced skill does is consumes 1 stack of inspiration. Deals ice damage equal to 80% of the Herta's attack to the target hit by this instance of skill and adjacent targets, repeating 2 times. Finally, deals ice damage equal to 40% of the Herta's attack to all enemies. For talent, when enemy targets enter battle, the Herta inflicts 1 stack of interpretation on them. At the start of each wave, applies 25 stacks of interpretation to a random enemy target, prioritizing elite enemy targets or higher. When the enhanced skill's primary target has interpretation, the multiplier for the damage dealt increases, with each stack granting an increase of 8%/4% on the primary target / other targets respectively. If 2 or more characters follow the path of erudition in the team, each stack grants an additional increase of 8%/4% on the primary target / other targets respectively. Interpretation can stack up to 42 times. When using enhanced skill, resets the number of interpretation stacks on the primary target to 1. After the enemy target leaves the battle or gets defeated by any unit, interpretation will be transferred, prioritizing the transfer to elite enemy targets or above. The technique: after using technique, the Herta's attack increases by 60% at the start of the next battle, lasting for 1 turn. If there is basic treasures in this current map, using technique will mark up to 3 basic treasures locations. After entering battle by the technique in simulated universe or divergent universe, deals true damage equal to 99% of the target's max HP to enemy targets lower than elite level, and true damage equal to 30% of the target's max HP to enemy targets at elite or above. For her bonus traces, her A2, when allied targets attack, inflicts 1 stack of interpretation on the hit enemy target. After attacking, for every 1 target hit by this attack, regenerates 3 fixed energy for the Herta, counting up to a maximum of 5 targets. When using enhanced skill, and if the primary target's interpretation stacks reach 42, increases ice damage dealt by the Herta by 50% until the end of this attack. Her A4, when entering battle, if the team has 2 or more characters following the path of erudition, then increases all allies crit damage by 80%, calculates at least 3 targets when the trace aloofly honestly calculates hit targets, applies 1 stack of interpretation to the target that has the highest current interpretation stacks among the hit enemies after attacking, and additionally applies 2 stacks of interpretation if the attacker is a character following the path of erudition. And her A6, for every 1 stack of interpretation inflicted on enemy targets, the Herta gains 1 stack of answer that stacks up to 99 times. When using ultimate, every stack of answer increases the ultimate's damage multiplied by 1. For her Eidolons, her E1, when enhanced skill calculates interpretation, additionally calculates 50% of the interpretation stacks on 1 target with the highest stacks out of the primary target and adjacent targets. When using enhanced skill to reset interpretation, resets the stack number to 15 instead. Her E2, after the Herta enters battle and uses her ultimate, she additionally gains 1 stack of inspiration. After using the enhanced skill, the Herta's subsequent action is advanced by 35%. For E4, the speed of characters following the path of erudition in the team increases by 12%. And her E6, the Herta's ice res pen increases by 20% when the number of enemy targets on the field is 3 or more, /2/1, ultimate's damage multiplier increases by 140%, /250%, /400%. Now for some Lightcone recommendations for the Herta. Her best one is obviously going to be her own signature Lightcone, which gives you a 12% increase to crit rate, and when the wearer uses their ultimate, increases damage dealt by the wearer's skill and ultimate by 60%, lasting for 3 turns. After the wearer uses their ultimate, if the ultimate consumes 140 or more energy, recovers a skill point. So as Herta is going to be a DPS that obviously is going to want crit rate, crit damage, your generic DPS stuff, the extra 12% crit rate provides is really nice, especially since her base kit can already provide a lot of crit damage, so it's best to focus on some more crit rate to get a good ratio. ratio out of it. It boosting crit rate is going to be really helpful, and on top of that, it does amplify her main sources of damage, as her main source is going to be the enhanced skill, which this Lightcone also applies to. And her ultimate is also going to deal a very good portion of damage as well, so getting both the increased damage to skill and ultimate, it's going to be really good, especially for the fact that it also does last for 3 turns, as her ultimate does have a steep cost. And then for the last part of the Lightcone, as it does recover a skill point if the ultimate does consume 140 or more energy, she is able to make use of that as her ultimate is above 140 cost. So every time now you do use the ultimate, you also get a skill point, which is going to be great for the times you do spam skill, since you will be spamming skill with the Herta. So skill points can become an issue at times, so this will help with that even more. So everything it provides is going to be extremely good, making this her best option. Another option you can't make full use of, unfortunately, but still is pretty good, is actually Jingwan's signature Lightcone, which provides a 36% increase to crit damage and increases damage dealt by the wearer's skill and ultimate by 18%. Not gonna bother reading the last part since that's related to follow-up attacks, and Herta does not have a follow-up attack, so the extra follow-up attack damage you can gain from consuming Summoner's Corpus is useless. But the first part actually is pretty damn solid, which makes it a good option you can use, as it does provide you 36% crit damage. As I did say, crit rate is better from a Lightcone, but either or is still good. Crit rate is more preferable, but crit damage is still good, and this also does increase damage for, once again, both your main sources of damage being the skill and ultimate. So 36% crit damage for your overall damage as well, and now your skill and ultimate deal 18% more damage thanks to this Lightcone. Overall, this is a good option you can use even while ignoring the last part, which this is a big increase for follow-up characters, but if you're not using the Lightcone on your Jingwan already, then it is still an option you can use thanks to the first part being actually pretty usable. And if you are taking her into Pure Fiction, the Himiko Lightcone is also a pretty good option, because for every enemy on the field, increases the wearer's attack by 9% up to 5 stacks. When an enemy target is inflicted with weakness break, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 30% for 1 turn. Herta already gives herself a lot of attacks, so it's a little less preferable. Unfortunately, this Lightcone does not provide any crit stats or anything, or damage dealt when it comes to that besides the last part, but if you are able to weakness break, then you actually do get the damage dealt, which with Herta, how many times she can actually hit. And since you just need someone to inflict the weakness break, it's pretty easy to get the 30% damage dealt as well. So if you have this Lightcone sitting around, it can be pretty good. Once again, she already gives herself a lot of attack, so the attack percent you gain is still helpful. You can still notice it, but wouldn't be as noticeable as more damage buffs or more crit rate, crit damage and such, but still is good. And then the damage dealt when you do break is going to be noticeable, so overall a good option you can use, but mainly in Pure Fiction. Another one you can use is Today is Another Peaceful Day from the Battle Pass, and what it does is after entering battle, increases the wearer's damage based on their max energy. Each point of energy increases damage by 0.2%. A maximum of 160 energy will be taken into account for this, and at S5, that becomes 0.4%. The Herta, as I already mentioned, has a pretty steep energy cost of around 220, so you'll have much more than 160, so you're able to make full use of this damage buff. And so if you've been buying the Battle Pass, you can focus on slowly S5ing it if you don't plan on getting other Lightcones for her, since with this on her, it is practically just a free overall damage buff you can get, making it a strong option as well. Another option you can use is the Seriousness of Breakfast, which increases the wearer's damage by 12%, and for every enemy defeated by the wearer's attack increases by 4%, stacking up to 3 times, and as it is free, it's really easy to S5. So at S5, you get a free 24% damage increase, and then the attack buff becomes 8%, stacking up to 3 times. So overall, just a nice overall damage buff that you get for free. And on top of that, when you do defeat an enemy, which with, trust me, the Herta is going to be extremely easy, you get 8% for each enemy defeated. You just need to defeat 3, which is going to be extremely simple with her. You get up to a 24% attack increase as well. Again, she already gives herself a lot of attack, so it's not super good, but still a noticeable change. And overall, a really solid free-to-play option as well. And then another option is Genius's Repose, which gives you a 16% increase in attack, and when the wearer defeats an enemy, gains a 24% increase to crit damage, and then at S5 becomes 32% attack and also a 48% increase to crit damage. So as I've already mentioned multiple times though, attack percent a little less desirable, but it also gives you a lot of crit damage. She already does give herself a good amount of crit damage on her proper teams, and also does vary on the team you are running, but still a good buff you can get overall. So if you don't have the other options, this is still good because the attack percent, while less desirable, still will be noticeable. Same thing applies to crit damage, since she already gives herself a lot. It's not crit rate, but it's still going to be noticeable since the crit damage buff is going to be extremely high, especially at S5. So at higher refinements, this Lightcone can also be really good. Now for some relic set recommendations. Overall, a great one and probably going to be your best slot is going to be the Scholar set, which provides a 8% increase to crit rate, and the 4-piece gives a 20% damage dealt increase to skill and ultimate, and after using ultimate, it just increases the damage dealt by the next skill by 25%. So this is absolutely fantastic, as the 2-piece gives you crit rate, so that's going to be more crit rate on your Herta, which as she is once again a crit DPS, that's going to be extremely massive, and also amplifies her main sources of damage being the skill and ultimate. You get a free 20% there. And when you do use her ultimate, you gain the inspiration stacks, which enhances her skill, and on top of that gives her an action to use, so the next time you act will will be her and her enhanced skill. So on top of that, you get the damage buff for her ultimate, and now the next time you do use your skill, which will be right away, you get the extra 25%, which is going to enhance the enhanced skill, making it do that much more damage and easily makes this set her best option. Another option you can use is the 4-piece of the ice set, which gives a 10% increase to ice damage, and the 4-piece after the wearer uses their ultimate, their crit damage increases by 25% for 2 turns. So ice damage increase from the 2-piece is going to increase her overall damage as she is a ice character, and then the 4-piece, when you do use your ultimate, you get a 2 turns increase for your crit damage by 25%, which is going to be pretty good, and you'll once again be able to feel that right away because you use your ultimate, you gain a turn, you're able to use the enhanced skill, and now you have an additional 25% increase to crit damage to do even more damage when you do pop that, and also your next time you attack, as it does last for 2 turns, and overall makes this a solid option. And unfortunately past that, it's practically just combining 2-piece and 2-pieces, so you can do 2-piece scholar set and also 2-piece of the ice set, or you can combine 2-piece of one of those sets and do 2-piece of an attack boosting set, so such as the wind soaring set, as it has a 12% attack increase. Same thing applies to the dot set, and also does apply to musketeers. So just 2-piece of those and then 2-piece attack percent, that's going to be your main go-tos. And unfortunately past that, there really isn't much else you can do. Definitely 100% recommend getting a 4-piece scholar set, which is easily going to be your best one. If not that, or while you're farming for that and you might have some ice pieces around, you could also do 4-piece ice, or 2-piece ice and 2-piece scholar, or 2-piece of one of those and 2-piece of one of the attack percent sets. As for Planar ornaments, a fantastic one is going to be Rule in Arena, which gives you an 8% increase to crit rate, and when the wearer's crit rate reaches 70% or higher, damage up at the basic attack and skill increases by 20%. So an extra 8% crit rate is going to be really nice, and getting up to 70% crit rate might be a bit steep, but it's definitely going to be wanted under the Herta. And once you do get that, you get a basic attack and skill damage increase by 20%, which the basic attack you can ignore. You practically never want to basic attack with her and will mainly be spamming skill. And this buff also obviously will apply to your enhanced skill, so getting a really nice damage increase for your enhanced skill, which is going to make this one of, if not her best option to use. Another great set on her is actually going to be the Ismo set, as she does practically always want you to have another erudition character on the team, so you're going to be able to easily make use of this ornament. And the ornament gives you a 12% increase to attack, and when you enter battle, if a teammate follows the same path as the wearer, then the wearer's crit rate increases by 12%. So 12% attack that you just get for free is nice, and then again, you always will have another erudition character on the team, and that will proc the second part of this ornament, giving her 12% crit rate, which is going to be very nice. So just a nice increase of crit rate that you can get. If you are taking her into Pure Fiction, you can also use the Unclaimed Desolation set, which gives you a 4% increase of crit rate, and when an enemy target gets defeated, crit damage increases by 4%, stacking up to 10 times. The reason I say Pure Fiction is because you mainly will never see this fully stacked unless you are in Pure Fiction, where they spam enemies at you, and in Pure Fiction, it is extremely easy to stack up the set and always becomes any crit DPS's best in slot in Pure Fiction. Only issue is usually other ornament sets are already as good and you don't need to switch to this because you already are able to clear the content easily, but mainly in Pure Fiction, and you could still use this outside of Pure Fiction, such as in Memory of Chaos. It's still very much usable, but definitely shines in to get the full stacks up to 40% crit damage, and then the extra 4% crit rate is helpful. So in Pure Fiction, or maybe you just have this laying around since you're farming for Ismo and maybe you haven't gotten Ismo yet, but you got useful Desolation pieces, you can use that until you get the Ismo set, or especially the Rule in Arena set, and overall is a solid option you can use as well. For the main stats on the Relics, for the body, you want to have crit rate or crit damage, and it's mainly going to be crit rate, as once again she gives herself a lot of crit damage, so crit rate is going to be your main go-to most likely. But if you happen to have a lot of crit rate rolls, then you could also opt to use crit damage, but that depends on your build. For the feat, this also does depend. Attack percent is going to be the best for damage, but also will mainly want another driver on the team, so if your addition character is your driver, then attack percent boost is going to be great. But if you're doing something like a Sunday on the team, then bringing her up to breakpoint with speed boost is going to be a good option as well, so you can do the -1 speed build. So again, attack percent is going to be the best for her actual damage, and if you have another driver on the team for interpretation stacks. But if you might not have the best driver and are using someone like Sunday instead, so Herta stuff can also apply stacks faster, then speed boost to get the -1 speed build is also a great option. For the orb, you want ice damage percent, and for the link rope, you want attack percent. For the substats, it's pretty much your generic crit DPS stuff, mainly focusing on crit rate, since you're going to want a lot of crit rate, especially if you're running Rule in Arena. Then you definitely want to make sure you hit 70% or higher. Aiming for around 75 to 80% is going to be extremely good. Crit damage rolls are still welcome. She gives herself a lot, but still getting crit damage rolls is going to be really nice. Attack percent rolls, same thing applies there. She gives herself a lot, but still attack percent rolls will be nice. And if you're running speed boots, you definitely want to get a few speed rolls to get her up to breakpoint, and then if you combine with Sunday, you want to make sure you get up to 135, so you can put Sunday at 134 for the -1 speed build. So once again, you mainly want to focus on your crit rate, and if you're running a speed boost, boots, you want to definitely get her up to breakpoint. Those are going to be your main concerns first. Past that is just more crit damage rolls, as that'll help. Same with attack percent. Yep, that is the full Herta build guide. Once again, if you guys found the video helpful, be sure to drop a like, as it will be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Wars content. Yep, that's all I wanted to say. Peace out.